Bum 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 bum. Star Wars Force and Destiny. Beginner game introduction to role playing. So this is a Star Wars role playing game called Force and Destiny. It's the beginner game. It says gather your friends, ignite your lightsabers, and get ready to discover your destiny in the Star Wars galaxy. Whether you are brand new to role-playing or just new to Force and Destiny, the beginner game is the perfect starting point for players of all skill levels. Open the box and begin playing immediately. The Star Wars Force and Destiny beginner game features a complete learn-as-you-go adventure. Players can jump right in and play as they learn the rules. And an exciting narrative gameplay system make every roll a story. Your own adventures and tell your own stories. This is a complete standalone game for 3 to 5 players. Bum 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 bum. What's in the game? Game. Okay, we got an adventure book, a rule book, introduction sheet, a map, 4 character folios, 14 custom die, 8 destiny tokens, and 55 character tokens. Oh yeah! I picked this up at for $5, $4.99 at the scratch and dent place. The keep forgetting the daggone place's name. But it's called they get damaged stuff. It's called Overstock Outlet. Oh my gosh. Had a hard time remembering that daggone place's name. The bad part is not only do I have a hard time remembering the place's name, it is really close to my house. But it's in a shopping center that I don't really go into, and it's just I'm always forgetting that this place is actually where it's located. Now, this is like damaged to hell. They had like 5 or 6 of these or whatever. But I only picked up one. Here's the dice. Kind of neat. So we got this little special unboxing for you today. The box is damaged to hell. Look, you can tell it got like water damaged or something. Oh. I'll probably just take it apart and try to laminate it and maybe save it. Anyway, here's Force and Destiny Beginner Guide. It says read this first. It's nice art. Yeah, that's water damage. You can tell that's water damage. So maybe they got something on the flood. This apparently is the map. Which is interesting. It's really 2 different maps. So we have the ruins here, the bridge here. So there's the bridge, and there's the temple. There's the ruins. So this is the ruins. So this is the valley. This is the big area of the map. We have the ruins, which this is a little smaller version of it. And here's the bridge. So here's the bridge area. So this bridge area is, so we got a map here. We got the ruins, which are right there. We got the bridge, which is right there. And then on the other side, we actually have the temple, which a whole entire map of the temple, which the temple is right here. So there's the temple. So I guess you start at the ruins maybe, or you start at the hunter's camp or something maybe, or possibly you start at the village maybe. So it's like it's a role-playing game. So you're role-playing. We have the rule book here. We have 4 character folios. We have the adventure book here. Let's check out the different characters we got. First, we got Taurus. He's a sentinel. Here's character sheet, his skills, symbols and dice, what they mean. Here's his pre-made character sheet. Some information about him. Advancement. How to upgrade, because you can upgrade your characters. You can make your own characters too. So, and here's the actual character. So they got some pre-made characters, but I'm pretty sure you see. Here's this career tree, for advancement. And here's his story. So that's neat. There's the story. Then we got Serinda. She's a guardian. These are all like types of Jedis, by the way. Again, it shows you how to do everything. The advancements and upgrading. And her card and her skill tree. Which I suppose if you don't want to use these that are actually in here. Here's her story. If you don't want to use the actual ones that are in there, you could always copy them. This is Carveri. It's a Seeker. Now, this one doesn't look like it's a Jedi, but I don't know. Maybe they're all... Again, all the same info about how to use the character sheet, by the way. Then the character sheet. And they all have different career trees, though. So that's a neat little thing. And here's Carveri's story. So this is, these little pre-made characters are cool. But you can always make your own characters, too. So that's pretty cool, too. Here's Deo. He's a mystic. He's of the same race that the Darth Maul and them are. That race. It's nice how each one of these character portfolios have how to actually use any character portfolio. It's nice. And there's the Mystic's career tree. And here's his story. So that's cool. Then we got the Adventure book. So, Star Wars Force and Destiny, beginner guide. Read this second. You're supposed to read this first. Oh, read this book last. Read this second. Oh, okay. So, this is read first, which we've already done. This is read second. Okay, cool. Guess it's all the credit and designers, all that junk. So this book is for the Game Master only. Here's what you get all in the box. How to use the book, player your characters, welcome to Spintar, the map, the adventure structure, adventure begins. Encounter 1, High Valley. Encounter 2, Gatekeeper. So the GM, the Game Master, will be using this information to do the story. Then you got Encounter 3, Hunters and Hunted. Encounter 4, In Deep Trouble. Encounter 5, The Bridge. Encounter 6, Wolfpack. Encounter 7, The Power of the Dark Side. Oh, one of your members might actually join the dark side. Who knows? See, it even has like here. This is a like the boss battle, right? It's even got pre-arranged, whatever you call these characters for the bad guys, like monster characters, like D&D would. Other encounters in the valley. So you could have them go different ways and have other little shorter encounters. Like in the village, they could do something. Wolf Den, Hunter's Camp, Ruins, Mount Tillich, the lake, the forest, the rockfall. Further adventures, you could have them do some other stuff in the temple. You could bending the galaxy together. Star Wars Galaxy, Galaxy to Explore, Galaxy of History. Here's some tips for Game Masters. Don't let the story stop just because of a failed check. Delegate, say yes and yes but. Treat the other players like allies. And a downloadable adventure you can download at fantasyflightgames.com is Lure of the Lost. And there's the core rulebook you can also buy for Force and Destiny's role-playing game. Here's some little critical injury, different little information. Now we got the official rules. Getting started, game rules, what's in the book, narrative play. Chapter 1, playing the game, core mechanics, the dice, positive dice, negative dice, force dice, dice symbols and results, positive results, negative results, force resources, lights, camera, action, the basic dice pool, characters, skill training, difficulty, building a basic dice pool, skills, applying test difficulty, modifying the dice pool, upgrading dice, interrupting the pools. It says failure, advantages, and threat, triumph, and despair. Unlimited possibilities. Other types of checks. Opposed checks. Cooperative checks. Destiny points. Pool destiny. Pairing destiny pool. Tracking destiny points. How destiny points used. Rising the stakes. Special abilities. Helping hands. Investing in experience points. XP. Skill training. Acquiring talents and force upgrades. Chapter 2, Combat. I know how to fight. Structure gameplay over there. Determine initiative. The turn. Incidentals, maneuvers. Actions. soak, range bands, long range, extreme range, short range, medium range, additional combat check modifiers, wound, strain, and injuries, recovery and healing, recovery from strain. Chapter 3, skills, skill ranks, career skills, skill descriptions. So you got a bunch of different skills like astrogation into athletics, brawl, charm, corrosion, computers, cool, coordination, deception, discipline, gunnery, knowledge, leadership, lightsaber, mechanics, medicine, melee, negotiation, perception, plotting, piloting, ranged, ridged, resilience, skullduggery, stealth, streetwise, survival, vigilance. And now we got talents. Chapter 4, talents. Career trees, talent descriptions, adversary, bodyguard, circle or shelter, code breaker, force power upgrades, defensive stance, dodge, force ranting, grit, intimidating, natural hunter, one with the universe, parry, parry improved, plausible deniability, quick draw, rapid reaction, rapid recovery, reflect, second wind, sense advantage, sense emotion, sleight of mind, soft spot, toughen, surgeon, uncanny reaction, valuable facts, well-rounded. And now we got gear and equipment, because you gotta have weapons and equipment and stuff, right? Weapons, currency. You got blasters. You got the holdout blaster pistol, light blaster pistol, heavy blaster pistol, blaster rifle carbine, heavy repeating blaster, disruptor rifle, brawling weapons like brass knuckles, frag grenade, stun grenade, melee weapons like ancient sword, force pike, truncheon, and vibro knife, lightsabers, regular lightsaber, weapon qualities, auto fire, breach, blast, cumbersome, disorient, knock down, limited ammo, pierce, stun damage, pierce and breach, weapons charts, name, skill, damage, critical, range, price, special. Weapon characteristics, name, skill used, base damage, critical rating, range, price, specials. Armor, you got armor chart, armor, got defense, soak, heavy clothing, concealing robes, padded armor, armor clothing, and armored robes. Armor. Gear, comlink, electro binoculars, micro binoculars, general purpose scanners, hand scanner, emergency medpack. Gotta have the right tools for the job. Items, costs, chart, physician's kit, stim pack, disguise kit, electrical lock breaker, binders, restraining bolt, ration pack, breath mask and respirator, spacesuit, backpack, data pad, glow rod, extra reload, power pack, toolkit, emergency repair patch. And finally, we get to the Force. And Chapter 6. The Force in Force and Destiny. Force die, using the Force, Force power checks, combined Force power checks, committing Force die, the Force, Force powers, Force power breakdowns, Force power enhance, Force power heal, Force powers in the narrative, Force power move, using sense in the game, Force power sense. Chapter 7, adversaries. Minions, rivals, nemesises, adversary list. We got Imperial Stormtroopers, the Imperial Stormtrooper Sergeant, Gilded Bounty Hunter, Grizzled Trader, Street Tough, Probe Droid, Stalking Eckley, Dark Side 4 Shooters, got the Fallen Apprentice, and the Fallen Master, Nemesis. And here's the index. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, O, P, Q, R, S, T, U, V, W, X, Y, and Z. Now I know my ABCs. Why don't you sing with me? And here's some skill descriptions on the back too. And these, since you don't actually have little tactical miniatures, are the various different tokens of people. Minions and your characters and whatnot. See, your characters are there. Friends and foes that you'll find in the game are there. Allies and enemies that you'll find in the game are there. And you got these coins, which I guess represent hit points or something. But if you have some like miniatures from like Star Wars miniatures game or something, you could use the miniatures to play this game with. I thought they would give you at least some miniatures for the 4 main characters, but I guess not. That sucks. Anyway, Star Wars Legion miniatures might work with this game. Star Wars miniatures from the Star Wars miniatures game should work. And here's a Fantasy Flight Games Winter 2017 catalog. Even though it's 2019, they might have something in here that's still in print, or something you wouldn't mind getting, or something I wouldn't mind getting. First of all, we got Star Wars Legion. So that looks like a neat little Star Wars game. You might like. I wouldn't mind it. We also got Fallout. Now, I've seen this Fallout game. I kind of want to get it. And I've heard mixed reviews. Some people think it's good. Some people are like, it's not that great. So, now it's been out for a while. It might be cheaper. So, it might be worth getting. I wouldn't mind having a copy, though. We got Legend of the Five Rings, which is not a Lord of the Rings type deal. It's a different type game. But it's a little card game. Seems pretty neat. We got Civilization and New Dawn. It's a new version of Civilization, I guess. Then we got Genesis, which it's a role-playing system, so it's a role-playing game of sorts. Then you got Legacy Dragonholt. It looks like it's a role-playing game system, sort of. Yeah, it seems like it's a role-playing game system. Set in like a medieval fantasy type universe. Then we got Twilight Imperium, which is 4th edition, which I wouldn't mind getting a copy. I have 3rd edition, but I don't have all the expansions with it. And I wouldn't mind getting either all the expansions, the 3rd edition, or 4th edition, or maybe both. But it's so expensive of a game. I mean, look at that, $150. Then we got Star Wars Destiny, which it's a dice and card type game, which I don't think it went over too well. I'm not sure, but it had a lot of hype, and card games and dice games that are collectible card games, collectible dice games, they don't ever seem to really pick up a whole lot. Just like sometimes tactical miniature games flop because, well, the main reason they flop is because they keep making new cards or new miniatures or new whatever, and the people who create the game get so greedy that they want you to own everything, and eventually they flop. Here, because the prices, they flop because people just can't afford them anymore. That's why. Here's one called Rune Wars Miniatures game. It looks like it's a pretty neat little tactical miniatures type game that would be fun to play. It's like a fantasy war type game where you also have magic and monsters and knights in a medieval setting trying to fight people with magic and monsters and whatnot. Then you got a Lovecraftian game with Mansions of Madness, 2nd edition, where you go against a Cthulhu type monster or whatever, god or whatever. And we also got Arkham Horror, the card game, which is basically another Lovecraftian Cthulhu type game. Then we got Star Wars Rebellion, which I wouldn't mind picking up a copy of the Star Wars Rebellion because it plays like the first 3 original Star Wars movies, but you can make your own story too. So you could change some of the things from the first 3. So it's like you're playing the original trilogy. First 3 movies are the original trilogy. Episode 4, 5, and 6. Not episode 1, 2, and 3. And not the current new trilogy, 6, 7, 8, and 9. The original trilogy. The middle trilogy is the original trilogy. Anyway, you get to play basically the storyline of the original trilogy, but you can change things up. And it's a 2-player game. One player can play as the good side, and the other player gets to play as the rebel scum. So one player plays as the rebels, the rebel scum, the bad guys, and the other player plays as the good guys, the emperor. You know what sign I'm going to play as? The good guys, the Empire. Then you also have Star Wars X-Wings miniatures, which I would have got into this, but like I said, miniatures just start costing so much money. The base game's cheap. The base game's all you really need to play it. But then you want all these other spaceships and all these other cool stuff. And, well, to buy other ships costs you an arm and a leg. So, yeah. Then I have the base game of Imperial Assault, and I also have one of the expansions to Imperial Assault. It's actually reasonable, though, because you can buy the base game, and then you can buy various different expansions to it. But the expansions aren't, like, really expensive. It's a tactical miniature game with expansions, too. But the expansions and everything are cheaper. They're still kind of expensive, but you get a whole lot in the base game, while in X-Wing you don't get a whole lot. You have to buy a whole lot of more bonus stuff. While in Imperial Assault, you could pretty much have the base game, and you could play the game with just the base game. And the Assault miniatures will go with the Force and Destinies game, RPG game, if you really want miniatures instead of using these tokens. Then we got Star Wars Armada, which is basically Star Wars X-Wing, but with the bigger ships. So X-Wing, you got the smaller ships, and you got like the little fighters and stuff. While Armada, you got the capital ships. It's pretty much the same game. They also have Star Trek. I'm not sure what it's called, but it's like Star Wars Armada, but you got capital Star Trek ships. The rules are basically the same, and theoretically they would be compatible if you reduce the amount of dice that the Star Trek ships got to use. Because in Star Trek, they use like twice as many dice for their ships than they use in Star Wars. And that makes it unfairly unbalanced, even though it's the same rules and same basic concept. They're both collectible ship miniatures games. And while it is possible to have both of them fight in a battle, if you played by the rules, the Star Trek ships would literally kick the Star Wars ships' butt. So, to make it fair, I'd say drop half the Star Trek dice. Then we have a Game of Thrones, the card game. I think I have this. I believe I have this Game of Thrones card game, and I have the Game of Thrones board game too. I'll have to do reviews of them sometime. But it's based off of the Game of Thrones TV show. Which is I mean, I've heard good things about it. I'd like to watch it, but I don't have HBO and Cinemax or whatever it's on. I have to find it on DVD, and what I have seen free on YouTube and free on DVD and stuff, it's a pretty good show. I mean, I wouldn't mind it. I also have a Game of Thrones Risk, which I have done a review on. You'll have to check that one out. We also have Eldritch Horror, another H.P. Lovecraftian Cthulhu type game. We have Descent, Journeys in the Dark. That's a tactical miniatures dungeon crawl type game. Game of Thrones board game. I have this. Just talked about it a while ago. Lord of the Rings, the card game. I have Lord of the Rings Risk. I have Lord of the Rings Monopoly. I have Lord of the Rings Stratego. I don't have this card game of Lord of the Rings, but I have a bunch of Lord of the Rings games. Lord of the Rings is a great book, and the movies were awesome too. Then they have card sleeves and junk you can buy, and there's some other games. And that was Fantasy Flight. Here's their address, I guess. And of course, it's fantasyflight.com. I'll put the links in the description of Fantasy Flight, Star Wars, and Fantasy Flight Star Wars RPG. Remember, God is good all the time. All the time, God is good. Keep on gaming. Like, comment, subscribe, and share. Remember, God, Jesus loves you. And have a great day, everybody. And laters.